Sports Sound and BBC Radio Scotland. It's time now for full live commentary as Celtic take on Hibernian in the company of our commentary team of Scott Allen, Pat Bonner and Liam McLeod.
Richard, thank you. It's a fairly pleasant afternoon here in Glasgow. The sun has been shining. It is rather cloudy at the moment, but terrific conditions and a terrific playing surface down there for both sets of players. Just the 7th time they've met in the League Cup at Celtic Park, these two. Hibs yet to taste victory here in this competition. They've also failed to win here in the Scottish Cup, so looking for a bit of history at Edinburgh's green and white in their changed colours this afternoon of the green and purple retro change kit. One from back in the 90s, I think the Hibs players wore. Similar colours they have intermittently down the here. Celtic in their green and white hoops, as you would expect here. And it is a first League Cup meeting at Celtic Park in more than 40 years, since a 5-1 Celtic win in the old group stage in 1983. They drew the other game in that campaign 0-0 in Edinburgh. Celtic scorers in the 5-1 win were McStay, McGarvey, Melrose and a double from Reid. From the bench, Paddy Bonner played between the sticks for Celtic that day in front of a crowd of just 11,046. Well, I know that some of the League Cup crowds have been pretty underwhelming across the board. The Celtic fans have come out in numbers today. There are some empty seats being filled up by those who are taking their place just on 3 o'clock. Celtic players are in their huddle off to the left. Hibernian are ready to go. Haven't won this tournament since John Collins led them to the trophy in 2007. And that 5-1 humbling of Kilmarnock at Hampden. Celtic saw their grip on it loosened a year ago when they went out at this stage to a Marley Watkins goal at Rugby Park. Hibs kick off, right to left, shooting towards the Jockstein stand end. And it's Joe Newell with an early long ball forward for Boyle, who picks up left of the Celtic penalty area, looking for a cross, chips it in with the right foot, headed away by Scales, only as far as Campbell. His effort deflected towards the Celtic box. McGregor can't quite get anything onto it. Carter Vickers is there to mop up, and he puts it out for a throw into Hibs on this near side. Bright start by the Edinburgh team.
Yeah, there was hesitation there in the Celtic defence between Carter Vickers and Johnson, I think, and it allowed Hibs to get into a very good position down the left-hand side. But the cross came in, Scales cleared it, but they've got their throw, and that allows them to get into the game in a better way than they did last week, I've got to say, because it would be a long throw into the box. Yeah,
which is going to be taken by Miller on this near side. He's come from right to left to take level with the 18-yard line of Celtic. He pulls it into the box towards the 6-yard area. It's allowed to bounce, slashed away by Callum McGregor out to the edge of the area where Maida gets onto it, but Kuhn's given it away straight to Campbell. Left angle of the Celtic box. He'll win another throw-in on this near side. Celtic came flying out of the traps in the capital last week, Scott Allen, but this has been a really promising beginning to the game for Hibs.
Really promising from Hibs. I think what we spoke about before the show was about Martin Boyle getting in behind that Celtic defence, and he showed that in the first minute. Sometimes just going direct and utilising his pace can cause all sorts of problems, because he is the type of player with his pace scares defenders, and it's been an excellent start. Lewis
Miller pulls it in again. It's not decisively dealt with by Celtic. Poured towards goal, blocked, and Taylor gets it away, and now Celtic will try and hit away on a counter with Kuhn, who has his legs tripped there, and that's going to be a yellow card for Mariah Welsh very early in proceedings. The Celtic try and take a quick free kick. The ref wasn't ready though. Ushiri got there ahead of Maida in any case, but that is a yellow card for Nathan Mariah Welsh, and it's a very early yellow card as well. A couple of minutes in, he was sent off in the Scottish Cup against Rangers last season, Mariah Welsh, and he's already walking the tightrope there.
Yeah, and he's got into that midfield to give a little bit more solidity and strength in the middle of the pitch. But when you get booked early on, so early on, then it takes away maybe from your kind of natural game. But he had to do it. I think Kuhn was gone. It was almost going to end up a 1v1 situation, and the structure behind the ball for Hibs was missing, and that's why he had to give away that early free kick, Senegal free kick.
Celtic have it. Kuhn into the left central area for Taylor, out to Forrest. First real attack of note for Celtic here. Forrest hitting the byline. It comes bouncing off him last and behind for what looked like a goal kick, but the referee sees it as a corner over on the far side. There were a few Hibs players at a go initially, but The referee's decision stands. Celtic tried to take the quick corner. Again, the ref isn't ready. Perhaps the ball was still rolling. And Celtic looked to try and score early here. The back of that pretty comfortable afternoon at Easter Road last week. O'Reilly with the corner, chips it into the 6-yard area where it's met flush in the head by O'Hara, and it drops to Callum McGregor, who goes all the way back to Kasper Schmeichel midway inside his own half. Nothing each, very early stages. I'll keep you up to date with what's going on at Tannadice and at Fir Park. United 1, St Mirren 0, Motherwell 0, Kilmarnock 0. The second halves of those games will be underway now, round about now, as Carter Vickers flashes it right to left of the circle for Scales. Goes back to Carter Vickers, rolls it low out along the grass onto this near side for Kuhn. Takes a touch with the right, passes with the left. Tate, low ball across. Maida scores! 5 yards out, he dinks it over Bursic, the keeper, and gives Celtic the perfect start here in the Glasgow sunshine in the League Cup second round. Celtic 1, Hibernian 0. Maida off the mark.
Well, it was that little ball played in behind the full-back for Hatate, who's just played the first time across the goal. That run across the near post by Maida. I'm not sure if it deflected up off the defender as he got to the ground and just took it over the goalkeeper. But it's a perfect start for Celtic, and a really, really perfect start from Maeda.
Really disappointing from a Hibs point of view defensively. They had the back five there when Celtic were in possession, but when you're asking midfielders to get across with flying fullbacks at Celtic half, you have to track runners, ball down the side, and it's very disappointing from Hibs.
Is that coming inside 5 minutes, and despite the promising start for Hibs, Celtic's first attack drew a corner, and eventually, as the ball settled over on this near side, they profit from it. Dyson Maida's first of the season as Celtic 1-0 up here, as the sliding Campbell puts it out for a Celtic throw-in on this near side.
Yeah, you've got to do better defensively, Hibs. And that's twice, two weeks in a row that they've got off to a horrible start, and it just gives Celtic the impetus to go on now, and that little ball played in behind them. You've got to track the runner, you've got to get it, and then the defenders have got to kill that near post. But Celtic were sharp, alive, and a great finish from Maeda.
Yeah, it was too easy just in that Kuhn opener at Easter Road last week. Celtic aren't complaining about that, and they're coming forward looking for a quick fire second here. Forrest square to Johnston, out to this right hand side for Kuhn, level with the penalty spot now, taking on Obita. He's inside the box, flicks it with the outside of the left, it comes off Obita and back into the grasp of Bursic. Celtic 1 then, Hibs 0. Very early on here, Scott, plenty of time for Hibs to get back into this tie, but as you'll know yourself, when you come here and you concede an early goal, it can be a heck of a long afternoon for you.
Yeah, it really can be. You're not going to see much of the ball. You let Celtic settle really quickly. I just think from a Hibs point of view, they set up obviously with that defensive shape and looking to counter-attack, which looked really promising early doors, but when you don't track runners, and don't get me wrong, when you're asking defenders, when they're playing against guys like Maeda and even as last week with Kyogo with that half yard in a box, it is difficult to track because of the speed of them, but they would have set up all week to stop that in early doors. I just can't believe again Hibs even change of shape defensively are now going to be looking at long periods without the ball, and it's going to be a long afternoon.
Kevin Clancy in charge this afternoon. Andrew Dallas is on VAR duties. That's ball back to Carter Vickers and then to Schmeichel. Midway inside his own half, just plays it short to his left for Scales. And out to Taylor on the halfway line, and down the line to Forrest, who again starts on the left-hand side in front of the North stand over there. And he turns it back to Scales, and now Schmeichel, and now McGregor to Carter Vickers. Celtic into their stride packy after Hibs were threatening themselves in the opening couple of minutes.
Yeah, well, they threatened only from the almost the kick-off when he got into Celtic's half, but now they can't get possession of the ball again. Just talking about Hibs and their setup, they've obviously playing with the five at the back. Martin Boyle is the one that's almost playing in on top of McGregor. He's closer to Kukurevich up front, so they're playing with that sort of almost 5-3-2 formation, but
there's Forrest up to the edge of the box, finds it Tate, looks to try and work it back to Forrest, and Tate still has it under pressure from Campbell, and he rolls it out to Johnston on this near side, level with the edge of the D to Forrest, little flick cut out by Newell, and his ball forward finds Campbell, but Kukurevich has let it go under his foot, and out for a Celtic throw-in on this near side. And it is Alistair Johnston bowling it infield to Greg Taylor. I think there's been some action somewhere else in the other two matches. It's in Motherwell. Stephen Craigan.
Yeah, and it's Kilmarnock down to 10 men. Second week in a row. It was Joe Wright last week against St Johnstone. It's Stuart Finlay this week. Booked for the tackle in the first half. Had a second tackle there. Went in for Paul McGinn too late. Caught him. Nick Walsh gave him a second yellow. So Kilmarnock down to 10 men, but still Motherwell 0, Kilmarnock 0.
Some roller coaster for the Kelly fans this week as Maida finds Kuhn on this near side, level with the 6-yard line, now attacking Abita again on the left, rolls it back to O'Reilly, controls, lovely dummy, puts it across, and then blocked by Bajiri and behind for the corner. And had he not got there, Maida was ready for a tap in behind him. Celtic corner, they lead 1-0.
Yeah, it was a good block, because you're right, Maeda was coming in behind him and now making that run across the defender to the near post again, and that's all he has to do, and all he's got to do is get a touch on it. But it was a lovely almost little dummy from Matt O'Reilly to create the space to get his ball into the box.
So Kilmarnock down to 10, still goalless with Motherwell. Dundee United through that Ross Graham goal in the first half lead St Mirren 1-0 at Tannadice. And the other two last 16 ties being played this afternoon. In this one, Celtic have a lead 1-0 thanks to Maida, and they've got a corner right in front of the Hibs fans off to her right. O'Reilly with it. Scales tries to flick towards the near post. It breaks out to Lewis Miller wide on the right, and he'll chip it down the line, but he can't find Campbell, and out it goes for a throw-in over there for Celtic. That needs to be a lot better as well. I mean, last week the Hibs performance was just riddled with unforced errors. There's another one.
Absolutely, it was a carbon copy of last week. You know, they got into decent position. Okay, they're under a little bit of pressure because somebody's closing it down, but the pass has got to find its man. He just played it out of the pitch, give possession back to Celtic, and that's not good enough.
Forrest to Taylor, then back to Scales, midway inside Hibs territory, rolls it out to the far side, and it's an unforced error from Scales on this occasion as he passes it straight out for a Hibs throw.
Yeah, I feel like we're repeating ourselves what we said last week in terms of Scales early on, and now what we've seen from Hibs. And when Hibs do turn over the ball, the quality has got to be better. You've got to allow your team to get higher up the pitch. If they don't do that, they're just going to be chasing the balls. And like I touched on with the midfield, they're getting asked a lot, Mariah Welsh and Campbell, to go out and close the Celtic fullbacks, and they're so high. And you're getting Matt O'Reilly coming into their pockets. It is very difficult. So when they do turn over the ball, they've got to keep it.
Hibs fan of repute just telling me that the away strip that they're wearing today is from the 94-95 season. They wore it the year after that as well. But it's Celtic who are dominating here. Johnston down the right hand side, low ball across, cut out in the 6-yard line and booted out of play by Ekpiteta for a Celtic throw-in, level with the penalty spot on this near side. They're certainly keeping the foot on the gas here.
Yeah, that running off the ball is something that Celtic do, and do very well, especially the full-backs. You see on the left-hand side, Taylor, he's almost playing as a midfielder continuously.
Yeah, he loves that.
But then on the side, Johnson, he'll overlap or he'll underlap, and that's where you have to track him, especially if you're playing with a wing-back.
Tell you what, the percussion section's certainly been ramped up this season as well. You can hear the drums being beaten in the background, all kinds of noise to keep the atmosphere going here. It's going to be a throw-in on this near side for Hibs, which will be taken by Abita. I'm not exactly sure where they are. Are they off to, is it in the away support? Is it? It's the Hibs fans. I think it's the Hibs support that are making the noise. Off to our right as Newell gets it back there to O'Hara, who clears up towards halfway, where Carter Vickers picks up and finds O'Reilly. And he finds Scales to the left of the circle for Taylor.
I think even in these situations, O'Hara with that clearance, I'd rather they went long and it gave Martin Boyle a chance to...
Oh, a great ball by Kuhn into the box. Maida. Ekpiteta gets back at him. Maida finds a Tate, fires it across. It just needed a touch. Doesn't get one. It was Forrest who was arriving to touch it. He couldn't get anything on it, and it's picked up on the left by Taylor. Back to McGregor. He gets it back left-hand side. Tries to get the ball across. Cut out by Miller. And behind for another Celtic corner. They lead 1-0 on 12, almost 13 minutes.
Yeah, I've got to say, Maida started off really well as the main striker. He's making lovely little runs. That time he made the run, and then he was able to check. The corner's just been taken short to come back to it.
It's his preferred position, isn't it? As O'Reilly goes back to McGregor to O'Reilly, rolls it under the left boot, crosses in. It's only partially away by Miller. Scales keeps it alive, rolls it back to Hatate. Chip ball into the box is brilliant. O'Reilly pulls it back, looking for Maida, and a really important challenge by Ekpiteta. Gets it clear out to the far side. That was a sumptuous ball in by Matt O'Reilly. As Scales collects, O'Reilly picks up this time right of the D. Rolls it out to Kuhn on this near side level with the penalty spot to the byline for Johnston. Shows too much of it to Bushiri, who can see it behind for the goal kick. It's Celtic 1, Hibs 0 here in Glasgow.
Great pass, great run, wasn't it? And Scott, and you know, the perfect sort of setup when you're trying to beat sort of almost a square back five, and you can't. Somebody's got to track Matt O'Reilly though, or it's got to be a centre half who's got to pick him up. But he was clean through that time. He could have hit the shot, but he didn't. Yeah,
it's a beautiful pass. I think the off the ball running from Celtic, especially their fullbacks, Alistair Johnston's causing that back five all sorts of problems. The communication's not there, and who wants to get out to him, and we know how deadly our Celtic are, and they have spaces picking up the ball and the combinations around the box. There's just so much quality all over the pitch.
Celtic have it with Johnston, long ball down this right hand side looking for Kuhn. Obita misjudges it. Kuhn chases down to the byline, tries to chop in field. A bit of skill there to get away from Obita, but unfortunately for him it goes behind for the goal kick. So it's 1-0 Celtic here. Dundee United 1, St Mirren 0 at Tannadice. As United look to win the League Cup for the first time since 81, when they went back-to-back, winning it in 1980 the year before. A couple of really memorable finals against local opposition. And Motherwell perhaps with the advantage. Haven't won this tournament since 1951 against Kilmarnock. Beat Celtic in 2012 to win it 12 years ago. More than 12 years ago now. It was a spring final. Long ball pulled forward for Hibs. Boyle goes down under the challenge of Carter Vickers. The ref's happy with it though. And Carter Vickers rolls it back into his box for Scales, who finds Kasper Schmeichel.
Yeah, it was a decent throw because it caught Carter Vickers a little bit flat-footed, and Boyle was in behind him. But I think he might have tripped over himself because the referee wasn't too far from it and gave the advantage to Celtic.
I think in terms of, from a Hibs point of view, when Miller does pick up the ball, that ball in between Taylor and Scales would be the ball you wanted to play to get Martin Boyle down the side and cause problems. But when it's going to Miller, he looks hesitant to play it. They need to try and get the team up the pitch to try and get a foothold in the game and allow a bit of possession.
It's back with Schmeichel at the edge of his box, rolling it to his left for Scales onto the touchline for Taylor. Infield to Hatate. Seem to remember Rio Hatate having a pretty memorable debut for Celtic against Hibs here. Really announced himself quickly. As Johnston finds Kuhn, lovely ball drifted over the head of Bushiri. Maida chases, he gets there and scores again. That's tenacity for you. And Daisen Maida, who's merely debutising for the injured Kyogo, pounces between the two centre-backs, Bushiri and Ekpiteta. And he got there ahead of Borsik as well to roll it over the line into the net, and Celtic lead Hibernian by 2-0. They are well on their way to the quarters.
Does Celtic need another striker when you have that man Maeda up front? But it was just a simple little run in behind. Ball almost flicked over the top, and I don't know whether the goalkeeper should have been further out to deal with it, but it almost ended up on the 6-yard box, Scott, and he's just got in between the defender and the goalkeeper to get a touch on it and put it into the back of the net. But a perfect start for Maeda and for Celtic.
It's too easy again though, Scott, isn't it, from a Hibs defensive point of view?
Yeah, see, I could see some of the Hibs players there arguing after that. They're probably wondering what's going on again. As a team, you would have set up all week to try and stop these type of things, and so early on in the game they find themselves two goals behind, and we're at Celtic Park, and Celtic don't look like slowing up.
Some of these little chip balls over the Hibs defenders have been picture perfect for Celtic. O'Reilly with one just a couple of minutes ago, and on that occasion Nicholas Kuhn. But it is too easy. I mean, that was just clipped over the head of Bushiri, and by that, at that point, when Maida gets in behind, he's always favourite.
Well, you've got three defenders up against one. you always know that Maeda is going to be the one that's going to be running in behind. So you've got to give yourself, almost get on the back foot. Even though you want to be tight to him, you still have to be on the back foot to give yourself that yard of maybe ahead of him. Now he has got pace. We all know he's got pace, but that was too easy, too square, and you know, you don't have to kill the space in front when you're playing against Maeda. It's always about the ball in behind.
Well, he's just reminding everybody, including Adam Ida, that perhaps if Kyogo's not available to play that roll through the middle, that he's very much an option for it. 2 goals from Maeda, 2 goals for Celtic, and it's a long way back already for Hibernian, and their defeat to Scots Kelty Hearts in the group stage is coming home to roost here. That denied them a seed with the draw for this stage of the tournament, and it handed them a trip to Celtic Park, and they are paying an enormous price. 2-0 down. I have seen Hibs come from 2-0 down at Celtic Park before, but this is an entirely different Celtic side. It's a different proposition, and they're in full flight right now. Long ball, Johnston, Maeda chasing it. Ekpiteta gets back there, knocks it away from Maeda out to this near side, tries to head clear. O'Reilly can't control, but it drifts away from Campbell as well, and McGregor's onto it. Finds Johnston, short to McGregor, rolls it to Maeda, a little flick back towards Johnston, and Bushiri's there to put it behind for another Celtic corner.
The Celtic players are having fun out there, I think. When you have the pace of somebody like Maeda, the ball doesn't even have to be perfect. You can just help into a space. And see, what Hibs have got a back 5. There's nobody taking responsibility again. And I know there's players in there who have newly signed along with the goalkeeper, but this is the same problems that we've seen last week, if not worse.
Short corner, O'Reilly to McGregor, back to O'Reilly, level with the penalty spot, chip ball in, Scales throws up with the right foot, can't make contact, and Campbell hooks it clear from the edge of his box.
Yeah, Hibs are just trying to stay in the game at this moment in time, and if Celtic get another one, it could end up an incredible score. But they're playing with tempo, Celtic. They're knocking that ball around, they're passing it well, they're enjoying themselves, the movement off the ball, everything is working for them at this moment in time, and Hibs are really struggling to live with them. But look at it, they're playing with a high line. They don't know whether to drop, whether to stay high. They're very square, and I can see more balls being played in behind.
Dyson Maeda's 4th and 5th goals against Hibs in Celtic colours. That is the second most he scored against another Scottish club, beaten only by Livingston. He scored 6 against. Takes him above his tally he's got against the other half of the capital in the Premiership in Hearts, as Lewis Miller dives with a header on the far side. He's been fouled by Hatate, and that's going to be a free kick to Hibs over on that right-hand side there, right as they try and attack the goal to the left. But to be honest, from the 3rd minute onwards, there's not been a heck of a lot of that going on. 2-0 Celtic. Dundee United 1, St Mirren 0 at Tannadice. That first half goal from Ross Graham. The difference right now, perhaps sending United through to the quarter-final draw. Those matches, the other ones, kicked off at 2. Motherwell 0, 10-man Kilmarnock 0 at Fir Park. As Hibs wait to take this free kick over on the far side. O'Hara with it, high ball, right-footed up towards the edge of the Celtic box. Carter Vickers is underneath it, heads it away. Hatate can't take it down in the midfield. Mariah Welsh is there, and he rolls it out to Obita. Hibs looking to get the next goal. They need the next goal. In comes the cross, headed away by Scales, breaks to O'Hara. He thinks he's scoring from 25 yards and lashes it high and wide, and it stays Celtic 2, Hibs 0. 22 minutes just about played.
Yeah, Celtic just totally dominated possession too in that sort of almost opening, what, 20 minutes, and that was a mirror copy of last week. 2 goals up, almost identical, and Celtic just dominated possession. Celtic will want to keep that sort of kind of tempo up, which they dropped off last week, but Hibs have got to try to find some way of getting on the ball and just controlling things, and try to use the pace of maybe Boyle up front, but up, and they're leaving it 1v1 at the moment at the back. Celtic.
Yeah, here's Hatate. He's found Kuhn inside the area, gets away from his man, shuffles it to Hatate, half away, breaks to McGregor, deflected for goal, and Dorsic prevents the corner and holds on. Celtic have a man down. It's Hatate, seems to be in a bit of pain. Looks like the medical team are going to have to come on and see Rio Hatate, who He's had injury problems quite clearly. He's had a couple of injury-disrupted seasons, particularly.
Yeah, he just got a bang in his back
before last, yeah.
Yeah, I think this time, I don't think it's anything to do with, I think it was a hamstring injuries he had, which was keeping him out last year, and but that was just a kind of almost a knock he took in the back, so he'll get over that.
Hibs' last League Cup win over Celtic was in the quarters in December 2003. Second half goals from Brebner's penalty, one from Thompson. Saw them come from a Varga goal behind to win 2-1. Set up a semi-final against Rangers, which they would win on penalties. Before losing out to Livingston in the final. What a waste that was for them. Bushiri under pressure from Kuhn goes back to his keeper, who rifles it clear. High with the left foot. Flicked on by Kukarevich into the centre circle where Scales gets there. Rolls it back to Taylor. He then turns side foot it forward to McGregor. McGregor rolls it out left for Forrest. McGregor continuing his run. Forrest infield to Taylor. He switches it to the opposite fullback Johnston in a right central area. Out wide right of the box here for Kuhn. Back to O'Reilly at the right angle of the area to Hatate. To O'Reilly, his pass forward's cut out. It's away by Obita. Every time Hibs clear, it's coming right back at them. And here's Rio Hatate, this time marauding forward. Rolls it back to McGregor. He'll then shift it to Carter Vickers. Out to the right-hand touchline for Kuhn. O'Reilly's in the box. Maida's hanging around the back post area with Forrest. He's found O'Reilly, who kind of passes it for the far corner. It's a comfortable take for Bursic, who flops down to his right to get onto it. It's Celtic 2, Hibs 0, 24 and a half on the clock.
I think that's the one thing we've seen about this Celtic team since the opening day of the season. The counter press round about the opposition's box. They're hunting in packs, and when a Hibs player does land on the ball, there doesn't seem to be any options. And as a player, when you like that, it's not a nice feeling. They don't have that. That's why I was saying that Martin Boyle has maybe got to go long. Maybe it doesn't have to be perfect, the ball, but maybe into a channel, utilise his pace to get your team up the pitch, because right now it's just wave and wave of attack from Celtic.
They're over 70% possession right now. Celtic will be favourites for this competition, as they will the other two. Maida sliding in there and winning it back off Obita initially, but then he fouls Obita on the follow-up, and Hibs have a free kick on this near side touchline. But Maida is causing all kinds of problems out there. He's such a little buzz bomb, just drags defenders around. They don't know where he is half the time.
No, and he's got that blonde hair like Kyogo. Not quite as long, I would say, but
slightly different, yeah.
Slightly different, but he's enjoying himself, I've got to say, and he's working hard for his team.
It is Liam Scales with a header away up to halfway over on the far side. Forrest goes down, fouled by Mariah Welsh. She'll have to be careful. Hibs already facing one monumental challenge here. They have to be careful not to go a man down as well. And Mariah Welsh already on a book with another foul over on the far side. And this is going to be a free kick to Celtic. Still Dundee United leading St Mirren by 1-0 at Tannadice. Goalless Motherwell Kilmarnock. We've got Martin at Tannadice, Stephen at Fir Park, keeping us up to date with those games. Celtic cruising here, long ball down the left, looking for Forrest. Miller's there, gets caught in a fankle, and he was being fouled by James Forrest, who's got a superb goal-scoring record in the final of this tournament, and obviously second most decorated player in Celtic history. And you simply wouldn't be backing against him becoming the most decorated in this club's long and illustrious history come the end of this season, Packy.
Yeah, there's a lot of trophies and medals to win this year again, and he's still, now that he's given up his international career too, you know, I think he'll manage out his time here very, very well, and he's quality. He's got quality. And
James Forrest.
Oh, sorry, you're talking about James.
I was waiting to say, have you just broken exclusive that James Forrest is
Callum
retired
McGregor.
from
No,
international
sorry,
football there?
I wasn't listening to what you were saying there. You are.
Oh,
I should listen better. I should listen better.
No worries. To be fair,
no, James,
Callum McGregor's only 2 behind him in the honours list, to be fair.
I know. And James has been a fantastic servant to the club, I've got to say, over the years. And just shows that he's gone with him at the start of this season. Last year he wasn't really in the reckoning early on, but he started with him, and he'll be enjoying himself too that he's in the team.
24 major honours James Forrest has as a Celtic player. It's a phenomenal return. 16 seasons and more potentially to come. Callum McGregor on 22, but Bobby Lennox's 25 is under threat this term as Scales rolls it back to Schmeichel. The edge of his box. Celtic 2-0 up here. Hibs toiling. It's been a difficult start to the season for them. Defeat to Kelty in the group stage of this tournament. The hammering in Paisley on week 1 of the Premiership. Beaten last week as well as Hatate picks up, reverses to Maida, who fires over. Well, he's about a foot away from a 29-minute hat-trick there, Dyson Maida. He got it, left-hand side of the box, turn, shoots over, and it stays Celtic 2, Hibs 0.
If they're not stretching you, Celtic, even the combinations round the box, they're constantly asking questions of this Hibernian team all over the pitch. And just to touch on James Forrest, guys, well,
we'll get to that in a moment because Celtic have won it back. Again, Hibs giving it away. Maida has it, fouls at Pateta, Hibs free kick on the edge of the box and back to Scott Allen.
I remember playing against James Forrest when I was 10 years of age, and I remember the first time I ever played against him, I was at Dundee United at the time. He was dribbling through the whole team, and I mean the ball was stuck to him like glue, and to see him go on and have the career he has, and obviously share the pitch in a changing room with him, it's incredible. The only disappointing thing for me was that we didn't see him play in Germany, because he's still so much quality that he should have been on that pitch at some point.
I thought it was quite a surprise when you looked at that final fixture.
I was totally shocked, and you know, he would have given that sort of bit that was missing actually from the Celtic team, whether his ability or not, but he never played with a winger, did he?
Well, the one problem Scotland have is pace, isn't it, in the forward areas, and obviously you have it in the wing-back areas, but
and the experience that he's gathered over the years. He's probably the player with most European competition experience.
Finished the season brilliantly as well, didn't he?
You would think it would have been invaluable in terms of on the pitch.
Anyway, not a single second did he play in Germany as Carter Vickers finds Taylor. The centre circle back to Carter Vickers. Half an hour played. Celtic 2, Hibs 0 at Scales. Up the line to Forrest, up against Miller, facing the Hibs fullback, driving forward now away from him. Low ball across, Maida steps over it, and Campbell clears with Kuhn lurking behind them. And it's booted out for a throw-in on the far side to the home team. This is as comfortable a match as Celtic could have hoped for today. It really is. I mean, they were comfortable in Edinburgh last week. This is more so.
I think they make it look comfortable because the off-the-ball movement and the pressing when the ball is in the Hibs box, they're constantly putting them under pressure. So yes, it looks easy from here, but it's something that they've definitely worked on since last season. You can see the changes in the team.
When you watch them play, especially in attacking side, they all know what their job and responsibility is, and they work exceptionally well as a team. Obviously the defensive side can sometimes come under question, but that's not apparent today in any shape or form. But the whole team, from the back two centre halves all the way up the pitch, every single one of them knows exactly what their role is.
There's Johnston for Celtic, getting it from Carter Vickers on the near side, back to McGregor. McGregor in the field to O'Reilly, looks up left foot. It's one of those bending angled balls into the penalty area, but it's too close to Borsik. It bounces through to the Hibs goalkeeper, who's on loan from Club Brugge in Belgium. Comfortable take this time for he, and he finds Bushiri at close quarters, underarm ball. Bushiri, dreadful ball by Bushiri. Johnston slides in, wins it back with ease.
It is, but it's not a real angle there from Josh Campbell. He's as if he's half wanting it.
Yeah, that's another wonderful pass. Maida, left-hand side of the box from Taylor. Maida holds it up though, rolls it back to Greg Taylor. And now McGregor. We're seeing a masterclass in these passing moves from Celtic this afternoon. The execution of them has been quite something. As Kuhn squares it in field to McGregor, back to the Celtic number 10. Another clip ball into the box, too close to Borsik this time. It remains Celtic 2, Hibs 0 here in Glasgow.
Maeda is showing intelligence today up in that almost centre forward position. You know, that time he was in behind, but he's checked and he just took players back into play again. So he's thinking about his game as much as anything else. When he plays wide, it's kind of almost one. I'm not going to say a one-trick pony, but he knocks the ball past people and runs with his pace. Here in that centre forward position, he's showing a lot of intelligence.
There's a chance though for Hibs on the counter. Abita driving forward in loads of space here. Can he pick it across? No, he can't. He's put it straight to Kasper Schmeichel, who gathers on his 6-yard line. And Brendan Rodgers a little bit frustrated there with the space Jordan Abita found himself in on this near side. Remains 2-0 Celtic.
I think when you get 11 players all in the same wavelength, you can really see the benefit it has for the team. I think from here you think they're just moving it for a reason, but all day passes that they play at certain weights, at certain angles, it's not just to give him the ball, it's for the next guy receiving the ball, and that's why it's so difficult to deal with. And Hibs are getting dragged into areas they don't want to be, even round the box. You think they would have the numerical advantage in closing Celtic down. They just get it popped round them, 1 touch, 2 touch, and it's caused them all sorts of problems.
Foul on Kukarevich down in front of us. Hibs free kick, but it's inside their own half over on this near side. Almost level with the edge of the centre circle. Newell wanted to take it quickly, kicks it off McGregor, but the referee wants a retake. Hibs make a game of this at all. The draw for this follows the conclusion of this match. Aberdeen, Dundee, Falkirk, Spartans and Rangers all through to the last 8. Dundee United maybe heading there 1-0 up on St Mirren. The game at Fir Park still 0-0. Is that going extra time? Just 10-15 minutes left of those twos. Kukarevich is fouled by Carter Vickers on the far side in the Celtic half, and Carter Vickers is booked as well. So he bulldozes Kukarevich to the ground and he takes his yellow card. But again, a little bit of frustration from Brendan Rodgers down below us. It's been an excellent performance from Celtic so far. He's got his little notebook out so he doesn't forget whatever he's upset about.
Hibs do carry a bit of height from set pieces. I would like to see an improvement from last week and maybe put the Celtic backline and goalkeeper under a bit of pressure.
Martin Boyle over it. Seen precious little of him in the game. Celtic have everyone behind the ball. Boyle with it, right-footed into the box. It's not bad. It's a good header. Great goal. Kukarevich, diving header, left angle of the 6-yard box, and Schmeichel concedes for the first time as Celtic goalkeeper. It's a wonderful header from the Ukrainian. It really was. The delivery was on point from Boyle, and Kukarevich gives Hibs a chance here. 10 minutes from half-time. Celtic 2, Hibernian 1.
Well, it was a really good deep cross to the back post, and Kukarevich, he almost jumped and nobody was able to get near him, and he's got a free header back across the goalkeeper into that left-hand side. Goalkeeper had no chance. It can almost looped beyond him, but from a distance, I've got to say, it was probably about...
Checking possible offside here, by the way.
Might be off, but I'll tell you what a header it was. Whether he's off or not, it's always about 15 yards out, because he's almost about 3 or 4 yards just inside the box, but on an angle. An incredible header.
Well, has he scored his first goal in his second stint at Hibs? The wait goes on. Must be quite tight. He did seem to have a heck of a lot of space in the box to do what he did, and there was a wonderful execution of the header from Nikola Kukarevich, but the VAR check goes on.
Must be tight, this one.
Kevin Clancy listening to Andrew Dallas in his ear. He's got his left hand up to his left ear. Here, no, goal stands. Goal stands. Hibs back in the tie. Boy, did they need that one.
It was the first attack, isn't it, Scott? Yeah.
It just shows you the importance of set pieces, especially coming away to difficult venues like Celtic Park. And Hibs have got a good height in their team, and it's a great ball in from Martin Boyle, I must say. And what a finish. And it gives Hibs a bit of hope that they can stay in the game. But I think this might just make Celtic go up an extra couple of notches again.
It's the first real mistake that Celtic has made in the game, and we talked about it defensively. Obviously, Carter Vickers given away.
Yeah, and here comes Celtic up the other end. Johnston fires it across from the right. Diving save there from Bursic. Good wrist, good strong wrist, gets it away. Hibs clear their lines. Now they're back in the game. They'll want to just try and get a foothold, and just, you know, now they're just one behind, they can almost revert back to plan A, can't they, even though they're still a goal down. It's Carter Vickers on the near side. It was he who gave away the free kick. He was out of position.
Yeah, it was kind of a, you would probably say a silly free kick to give away, because that just puts pressure on your team. You've got to go and defend the cross down, which he didn't do. He didn't do it well enough, but taking nothing away from the header, I've got to say. From that distance and from that angle to beat Schmeichel into the back post, a perfect position to put it.
Lovely looping header into the top right corner from Kukarevich. Celtic with the lead though. Here's Carter Vickers, midway inside Hibs territory, rolls it out wide right for Kroon, level with 18-yard line. And support out to the right, and Johnston, his cross takes a touch, but it's gathered by Bursic in the 6-yard box. Now Hibs haven't played well, Scott. They haven't played well in the game, but they find themselves in a game again. Yeah, that could make a whole lot of difference to their mentality.
It can, yes, and it's like we say how important set pieces are in these type of fixtures, and they put it to good use. We've seen before they were wasteful, but that was a fantastic goal from a Hibs point of view, considering how poor they had been in the game, and it looks like it's energised them a bit.
Hibs have it wide on the right-hand side. Miller under pressure. He's lost it to Forrest. He's driving forward, head down into the box. He goes down. Kevin Clancy looks at it. Initially it says corner, I think. Yeah, it's a corner.
Yeah, I thought there was an arm on his back, on his shoulder when he's driven through, but that's just my interpretation of it. But the referee's demand is close to it, and he gives the corner.
He's in the sandwich there, isn't he, James Forrest, and he takes a tumble between the two defenders. And obviously there's going to be a nervy wait for those defenders here, because that'll be getting poured over VAR HQ. Kevin Clancy reckoned corner. He didn't think this was a foul, but they are checking for a possible penalty kick here for Celtic. And Hibs, having just got themselves back into this tie, are facing a sweat here, and they'll be hoping that this ends up being a Celtic corner rather than a spot kick.
It was a great run by James Forrest, wasn't it? Right through the gap and put himself into a great position.
It's Lewis Miller giving it away on the far side, isn't it? Corner only, no penalty.
Hesitant again with the ball, instead of just turning it into that right-hand side channel for Martin Boyle to go on the end of, and he mastered her own downfall.
O'Reilly's corner out swinger with the left. Scales went with it, and then Bursic comes and punches on the 6-yard line. And Mariah Welsh completes the clearance. Campbell trying to take it down on the far side. Scales gets there ahead of him. He can only pass it to Boyle, who passes it off the defender and out for a Hibs throw-in over on the far side. They have got pace, obviously. Hibs, they've got pace and power, and those are two facets of their team that they are going to have to utilise whenever possible if they are to emerge from this tie from 2-0 down. Yeah, by the close of play today.
They've got to find a way to get a couple of passes, settle on the ball, and then maybe off the third, fourth pass, play it into those spaces for Martin Boyle. He's got pace to burn, as we know, and that gets them up the pitch. But if they can't get a control on the game and get a hold of the ball, then it doesn't happen. There's a long throw coming into the box now.
Yeah, Lewis Miller, he's a long way back here over on the far side. It's a long, bold throw ball into the area which is headed half away, and then Kuhn blocks Campbell just as he was thinking of shooting from the edge of the area. Breaks back into the centre circle. Long ball forward by Obita. Campbell goes down, clutching the back of his head. No free kick. Celtic have it. Kuhn shuffling away from Newell, trying to get away from Mariah Welsh, and then dinks it forward, looking for the run of Maida, but he comes all the way through to Bursic, who holds on. Celtic 2, Hibs 1 here. Remains Dundee United 1, St Mirren 0 at Tannadice. Heading towards full time there. And at Fir Park, goalless between Motherwell and Kilmarnock, though Kelly down to 10. Stuart Findlay was sent off, and Motherwell have not been able to profit from that so far, and that, as it stands, is going to extra time. Findlay was sent off on 50 minutes. And Stuart Kettlewell's thrown plenty at it. Tony Watts on for his debut second time around in that one. As it stands, though, that's going to extra time, and Dundee United stands going to eliminate St Mirren from their second tournament in the space of 3 or 4 days. Hibs have a free kick meantime inside the centre circle.
Well, I think this is a way into the game for Hibs, to be honest. You know, try and make the game a little bit more ugly. Stop Celtic in their tracks. Stop them playing, passing that ball if you can, and then try to get, if you get a set piece, play it into an area. It's going to be a very, it's not as through the middle this time, it's not as wide, but it's going to be played into the box.
Long ball, left-footed from Newell, looking for Kukarevich, headed away by Carter Vickers. McGregor gets onto it and feeds it out to Kuhn on this near side, rolls it forward looking for Maida. Campbell slides in and wins it back for Hibs. It's a little bit more about Hibs right now since the goal. The strike itself, the header from Kukarevich which found the net, will give them a lot more belief. The adrenaline will be flowing a little bit as well, I would have thought, as we get towards the half-time interval. Still they trail by 2-1. Here's McGregor for Carter Vickers. It's up at the pitch ahead of him. Side foots it up to the halfway line for O'Reilly. Back to Carter Vickers here. To the left of the circle there for Scales. A bit of movement ahead of him from Taylor. He goes out to the touchline instead to Forrest, up against Boyle. Steps in field. There's Forrest, there's Maida, first time looking for Hatate. And it breaks to Lewis Miller, who under pressure from Maida finds Newell. Little turn by the Hibs skipper. Rolls it out to Miller on the right-hand side. Miller then gets it away from Taylor, driving forward. McGregor sliding in, still though it's Miller. Kukarevich and Boyle ahead of him. Slips it through to Kukarevich at the edge of the box. Wrong decision. He tried to glance onto his right side, and it's well defended by Carter Vickers. But here comes Campbell again. He wanted it more. Drives it across, blocked on the penalty spot, and then away. Hibs having their best spell in the game here, looking for an incredible equaliser. A beater from the byline, pulls it back towards Kukarevich. Scales half away. And then Forrest does a brilliant job to bail his defensive teammates out and carry it out to this near side, though he loses it to Campbell. Here's Newell. Newell then, as we head in towards the final minute of the opening 45. 2-1 to Celtic. It breaks down for Hibs though. One back by Kuhn. Here is McGregor. To the left of the circle for Taylor. Long ball looking for Maida down the left. Controls with the head. Gets it in front of him. Driving forward is Dyson. Maida just got away from him at the last. O'Hara put on enough pressure to prevent Maida having a run in on goal on his own, and it stays Celtic 2, Hibs 1.
Tell you what, Joe Newell be relieved a minute to go in his half, and he ends up trying to do a nutmeg thing up here on the left-hand side. And Celtic absolutely break with intent from that position, and really Maeda had a big chance. I just couldn't get it under control to get a strike away.
Fourth official, Craig Napier, is the board down below us. We'll find out what's being added on at the end. Couple of minutes I would have thought. Here is Kuhn outside of the boot, left-footed to O'Reilly, right of the 6-yard box, blocked by Newell as he played it across, first time with the right. And Celtic have a late first half corner. 2 minutes added on at the end of the first half. Celtic 2, Hibs 1. And this O'Reilly corner right in front of the noisy Hibs support. In-swinger with a left foot coming up from O'Reilly into the 6-yard area. Comfortable take for Bursic, who holds on, and that is exactly what his defensive teammates will have wanted to see when the goalkeeper comes and claims in such a manner. And Bursic has it, taking his time over this, because I think there were points in the first half, Scott, where David Gray would have absolutely signed up for a 2-1 deficit at the break.
Yeah, he would have, but I think as a manager you're also looking for performance. I think Bursic is obviously trying to go long for the kick, so I think that's maybe a better way for Hibs, because any time they've played out, the defence hasn't looked comfortable at all playing out. A chance here.
Yeah, Alistair Johnston driving down the right-hand side. Newell for company, and Newell does brilliantly well. And he takes control of the ball, rolls it back to Bushiri, who'll clear with the left. Up this near side touchline, Kukarevich tries to flick on, looking for Campbell. Gets a second chance, nods it forward to Josh Campbell, who'll leave it for Mariah Welsh. Little chip ball out to Lewis Miller, but it's just ahead of him, and on the slide he can't get anything on it, and it goes out for a Celtic throw-in over there. And again though, it's just about decision making once more. And if Miller gets in there, Scott, Hibs could have been in.
Yeah, they could have been, but it was more execution than decision. He just had to a little chip, and they're on the counter attack, and he goes for power to try and make it look good. And it goes out for a Celtic throw.
Yeah, here comes Kuhn up the other end, right hand side of the penalty area, rolls it back to O'Reilly, central position, finds Scales. Scales then will turn it out to Johnston. Final few seconds of the injury time at the end of the first half here. Hatate level with the 18-yard line, short ball in field to Kuhn. He stabs it to Scales, out to the left-hand side for Taylor. And then Kevin Clancy blows for half-time. There were points in that first half, and it looked like Celtic were going to run amok here. They raced into a 2-goal lead. Daizen Maeda with 2 goals inside the opening 17 minutes of the game. 5 and 17 he scored. Both classic Maeda goals, in truth. But Mikola Kukarevic has given Hibs all kinds of hope with that lovely stooped header, which floated into the top right corner to half the deficit and give Hibs hope here in Glasgow's East End. The other games, the other ties, will be getting towards full time. Let's get to the excitement of those, because at half-time here in Glasgow's East End, it's Celtic 2, Hibernian 1.
The Scottish League Cup.
Live on Sports Sound from BBC Radio Scotland.
Where Scottish football lives.
Open the door to true crime that shocked a neighbourhood.
Ambulance, police us, next shot.
Stay with us, that's what she was saying when he was on the ground.
Why did a family man in a quiet town find himself the target of a ruthless hitman?
I'm Kay Adams, and this shooting was the first major story I covered as a rookie reporter.
He would have stopped in nothing.
We're talking about Russian-trained, high-ranking officer in the Secret Service.
An assassin comes to town. A crime next door story. Listen now on BBC Sounds.
This is Sports Sound with me, Richard Gordon. Celtic 2-1 up at half-time against Hibernian. It took them a minute longer to take the lead against Hibernian this week. They were 2-0 up 2 minutes sooner than they were a week ago. But my goodness, Hibernian have suddenly found a way back into it thanks to that astonishing header from Mikola Kukarevic. 2 wonderful headers we've seen this weekend from him, from Blair Henderson yesterday for the Spartans. And there is life in this game for Hibernian. We'll get back to the guys shortly. Let's go to Martin Dowden into stoppage time at Tannadice.
Yeah, we're in stoppage time here, and St Mirren are just throwing absolutely everything at this. It's still Dundee United 1, St Mirren 0. United had a great chance to end this as a contest. Substitute Louis Moult went through in the inside left channel, cut inside and smacked the ball off the underside of the bar. But St Mirren, credit to them, they've thrown everyone forward. They're firing balls into the box. They just can't really get that clear-cut opportunity, though. I say that, though, and about 1 minute ago they had a really good one. Jayden Brown, the ball fell to him just inside the box. He hit it towards goal, didn't quite get the connection he was looking for, and it was scrambled behind for a corner. But United just trying to see this out. St Mirren absolutely going for it. It's United 1, St Mirren 0.
We'll let you know as soon as that full-time whistle goes, if there's no further scoring in it. No scoring at all in Lanarkshire. Stephen Craigan.
Yeah, Richard, it's since the red card and Stuart Finlay got himself sent off, it's been one-way traffic. It's been Motherwell forcing the issue, but as soon as Finlay was sent off, Derek McInnes rolled the dice. He brought on the heavyweights. He brought on the likes of Kyle Vassell. He brought on Brad Lyons. He made 5 changes just to try and get him a little bit of ownership back in the game, but it's been Motherwell forcing the issue the whole way through. Tony Watt come on as a sub, has been lively, has been bright, but the new signing, Maswanese, has been absolutely brilliant. You know, he's been a real bright spark. He's taken players on. He's been positive. He's created a few things, but almost like St Mirren up at Tannadice, Motherwell just can't get that final touch. Tony Watt had a header just with 10 minutes to go. He headed over the crossbar when it seemed easier to head it down into the nets. Kilmarnock are standing firm. Motherwell are pushing and probing. We're deep into the 6 minutes of added time, and as well, Kilmarnock are walking wounded 10 men, and Kyle Vassell strapped up. Rory McKenzie's got cramps, so there really is all hands to the pump. Not exactly what Derek McInnes wanted ahead of a huge European game on Thursday night, but his team are still in the cup as it stands. But Motherwell have a corner with a couple of minutes to go.
Not often you see 5 substitutions all being made at the same time, as we heard from Stephen there. Killy, Derek McInnes just throwing the dice, throwing everything at it. Still goalless. Could be a long afternoon. Could be stretching into the early part of the evening for Stephen. Dundee United still 1-0 up thanks to Ross Graham's near post header against St Mirren. The draw, remember, for the quarter-finals of this season's Premier Sports Cup will be coming up following the conclusion of the Celtic Hibernian game. Already through from yesterday, Aberdeen, Dundee, Falkirk, the Spartans and Rangers. Dundee United on the verge of joining those 5 in the draw for the last 8. Who knows? Motherwell, Kilmarnock, that's got a long way to go yet, it would appear. And Celtic, well, they were cruising, absolutely cruising, thanks to 2 goals from Daizen Maeda. But Kukarevic has found a way back into the game. Full-time whistle has gone at Tannadice.
Yes, full-time, Dundee United 1, St Mirren 0. It's Ross Graham. Eventually, his header proving decisive for as United secure that Premier Sports Cup quarter-final place. Towering defender, he got a vital touch just a couple of yards out after Will Ferry's excellent corner kick delivery wasn't dealt with by the St Mirren backline. Craig Sibbald earlier had come very close to an opener. He gathered outside the box, measured a wonderful effort that struck the crossbar with Balcombe in goal absolutely scrambling. Debutant Luca Stevenson then passed up an excellent chance to extend United's lead, but failed to connect well enough after more good work from Ferry. His cut back right into his path. St Mirren battled hard to get back into this. They threw on subs, they threw people up forward, but he just failed to create too many clear-cut chances outside a very early Alec Iacovitti effort on target that Jack Walton saved well. That chance late on for Jayden Brown in injury time probably was the best they had after that, and he just couldn't get the right connection again, and it was deflected behind by United for a corner. The crossbar did come to St Mirren's rescue before that. Louis Moult, as I said just a few minutes ago, struck the underside of the bar. He could have finished it then, he didn't. But from there, Jim Goodwin's side did enough to manage the game well enough, and they progressed to continue their encouraging start to this campaign. Dundee United 1, St Mirren 0.
Well done to Jim Goodwin and Dundee United. 6 teams now known for the quarter-final lineup. Will it be Motherwell or Kilmarnock? Will it be Celtic or Hibernian? All will be revealed in the course of the remainder of the programme. In the SWPL 1, Hearts have beaten Spartans by 5-0. So that's 16 goals for them. Back-to-back wins to kick off their league campaign. Rangers are also going to make it 2 wins out of 2, and also with a 15-goal plus 15 goal aggregate. They're 4-0 up against Partick Thistle, and Hibernian have beaten Aberdeen by 7-0. Motherwell Montrose to kick off shortly. Glasgow City away to Celtic at 4:10. The Rangers game has been live on the BBC Sports Scotland channel, or at least on the website rather. Celtic against Glasgow City live on BBC Alapa. We've got live second half commentary to come here on Sports Sound from Celtic Park. It is full time at Fir Park. Stephen Craigan, this has got a bit of work in it yet.
It has. Both managers have entered the field of play. They've got the players in their huddle. They're trying to give out the information. Kilmarnock have done the hard yards. They really have. It's all about now concentrating, focusing, allowing yourself to stay in the game, and maybe, just maybe, catching something on the counter-attack, because it's been all Motherwell. But I said Kilmarnock have defended well, they've defended their box, they've won their headers. Motherwell haven't created an awful lot too clear-cut, but you know, they just have to find a way, because they've had all the pressure, they've had lots of crosses into the box, nothing's just dropped their way. But you know, Kilmarnock with the likes of Kyle Vassell and Matty Kennedy and Brad Lyons now on the pitch, they have a threat, they have something there that if Motherwell overcommit, or they don't take their chance, or they give them one opportunity, this team are more than capable of going and taking opportunities. But it's all about the freshness of Motherwell. You said that Kilmarnock made 5 subs at once. Motherwell eventually made their 5 subs. I think Kilmarnock had a 6th sub because it was a head knock for Fraser Murray. He had to go off and Liam Donnelly come on. So Derek McInnes probably didn't want to go deep into his squad ahead of this game. He wanted to keep them fresh for Thursday night in Copenhagen, but needs must sometime. He said ahead of the game that he thinks his players have a cut one in them, so he gambled, he put them on, he pushed and probed, but it really is finally poised. Motherwell with the extra man, they would hope they can make that advantage count. They would hope they can create something and win the game. But yeah, another 30 minutes ahead of us. 0-0 here.
And of course, Kilmarnock will now have the option of another substitution during the extra time period. So it could be 7 alterations to the starting lineup. Right, we'll get back to Stephen as soon as anything unfolds there. Let's just reflect on the opening 45 minutes. I'm not sure you'd have got many people predicting a 2-1 half-time scoreline, Pat Bonner, 20 minutes into this game.
No, listen, Celtic were playing absolutely brilliantly. They were moving the ball, they were moving off the ball. It was pace, it was tempo, all the things that you know, you would expect from a Celtic team, but maybe not at the start of a season. So they're looking really, really good. But that frailty again, they give away a silly free kick, and then that ball into the box, or they didn't defend it properly. But what a header, what a magnificent header from Kukurevich. He only could have scored in that position over almost what a little bit of pace. It wasn't just a loop over the goalkeeper.
No.
There was a little bit of pace in it, but it goes into that back stick where the goalkeeper has no chance because you're covering your near post. But I think the header must have, am I right in saying about 15 yards?
Oh, yeah, he's just a yard or two inside the box. But and it doesn't just beat Schmeichel. I mean, it's about 5 yards wide of Schmeichel. It's an astonishing header. Absolutely magnificent.
It was great. And, you know, people say that you know, you got to get the ball down and pass it and do all these just magnificent modern football. But when you can get a ball into the box and you can get a guy like Kukarevic, who's a 6'2", 6'3", with a bit of strength, get somebody or get him on the end of it, you always have a chance. And no matter how the game's going, set pieces is the thing that will always give you a chance in the game. And Celtic's frailty is there for everybody to see at times. They haven't got the height. They've only got Matt O'Reilly, they've got Carter Vickers, who isn't the biggest as we know, and Liam Scales, 3 players. And if you look at Hibs, they've got maybe 4 or 5 big players that can go into the box, so you're always going to be outdone in that. So don't give away the free kick in the first place if you're Celtic. From Hibs' point of view, it keeps them in the game, and now they can sort of get in at half time, come up with maybe a strategy that's going to get them maybe that second goal and give them a fighting chance, because they were totally outplayed in this game early on. I don't know what you think about Scott, but it was like, for me, it was a mirror image of what happened up at Easter Road last week.
Yeah, it definitely was, obviously within a different shape. But look, it's difficult coming to Celtic Park at the best of times, never mind playing against a Celtic team playing with such confidence, especially from the early moments in the game. They had runners off the ball, the combinations. They obviously got a different threat in Maeda, who caused all sorts of problems for the Hibs back 5. So listen, I can sympathise with the players, because it is hard when you don't see a lot of the ball, when you're getting asked to your 2 midfielders, Mariah Welsh and Josh Campbell, having to get out to the wide areas to track the Celtic fullbacks, which isn't easy. But the one positive from the game is from a Hibs point of view, is the set piece, and when we spoke about that before, especially with the height they carry in the team, and it's a great delivery from Martin Boyle and an even better finish from Kukarevic. So I think David Gray will be more verging on the positives in that first half and allowing them themselves to get back in the game, and they're still in touching distance of Celtic, but it's still a long way to go for them.
They needed the goal quite clearly, but actually between the second Celtic goal and Kukarevic scoring, they defended in numbers, but actually it was some really good, impressive defending by Hibs just to keep themselves with a foothold in the game.
Well, they had to, hadn't they? Because I thought Maeda was different class in that first half, especially in the opening 20-25 minutes. Even right throughout, he had other chances. His movement, his running in behind, his sharpness. He held the ball up at times, brought other players into play. So he's played the position really, really well. But throughout the team, you know, in an attacking sense, Celtic from the back, right through midfield to front, every single one of them knows exactly their role, what their responsibility is. The movement off the ball is good. So Hibs had to sort of try to defend a little bit better. They didn't do early on, I've got to say, and that's how they lost their goals. They were too square, people running off the ball, nobody tracked them, and that was their downfall. Second period of maybe the first half, I think they came to terms a little bit better with it, and they sort of mixed the game up a little and made it a wee bit more difficult for Celtic.
In the English Premier League, a 2-1 win for Brentford against Crystal Palace. Brian Mbeumo put Brentford in front. Ethan Pinnock's own goal levelled it, but Johan Wissa with a winner 14 minutes from time. Chelsea kicking off against Manchester City at 4:30. It's finished in the SWPL 1, Rangers 4, Partick Thistle 0. The 2 later games about to get up and running. Motherwell Montrose Celtic against Glasgow City. It's going to be fascinating to see how this second half unfolds. Will Celtic just simply pick up the kind of football that they played for the most part in that first half, or have Hibernian genuinely found a way back into this game? Players will be back out shortly. 2-1 for Celtic. It is still goals at Fir Park. Motherwell against Kilmarnock. Second half, of course, coming to a conclusion after about 7 minutes of stoppage time, I think. 0-0 it is as they move into extra time. Kelly down to 10 men, but Stuart Finlay having been sent off. Stephen Craig and Motherwell are going to, if they don't see this through, they're going to really rue what has to be a great opportunity for them against the 10 men.
Yeah, and I touched on it earlier, Richard. Motherwell's home form hasn't been great over the past kind of 13, 14 months. You think that even the Premier Sports Cup game here against Partick Thistle, 0-0. Here against Ross County in the league, first league game of the season, 0-0. Here we are, 95 minutes into the game, 0-0 here. So there's a real concern about the lack of goals and lack of creativity. But when you've had the extra man for so long in the game, it would be a huge blow for Motherwell not to go through. And that's not, anything against Kilmarnock. They've defended well, they've worked hard, they've put their shift in, but you just think with the number of times we've got in behind and the final ball now is letting them down, they're panicking a little bit, they're trying to force the issue when it's not on. So yeah, it'd be a major disappointment, it'd be a huge lift for Kilmarnock if they could manage to get through this tie with 10 men for so long. But for Motherwell, they have to somehow find a way with this extra man, but they're making hard work of it.
We'll keep you across that one goalless into extra time. Teams back out at Celtic Park. Change for Hibernian as they trail by 2-1. It's back to our commentary team of Pat Bonner, Scott Allen and Liam McLeod.
Yeah, and it's a debut for Nicky Cadden, who replaces Nathan Mariah Welsh at the start of the second half. He and his twin brother Chris both on the Hibs bench this afternoon. And Nicky Cadden, who arrives at Easter Road after 2 years at Barnsley. He was a regular there during his time at the EFL League One club. They missed out on promotion last season though, and he's joined his brother in the ranks at Hibernian. Celtic will kick off the second half. Still the shine from the sun beaming down on the pitch there, and it's quite blustery in Glasgow today as well as the game gets back underway. Not that you notice in this big bowl of a stadium so enclosed. Celtic in the green and white hoops, right to left, shooting towards the Jockstein stand end, the west end of the stadium. Hibs in their green and purple change kit, the green and purple striped top, left to right. And Hibs fans will get a better view of any goal mouth action their team can come up with in the second half. It's McGregor for Celtic though, back to Carter Vickers. Mariah Welsh was of course on a booking and he had a foul just before half-time as well. And as Carter Vickers picks up over on the right-hand side, out to the touchline for Kuhn. I hear Motherwell have broken the deadlock finally against Kilmarnock in extra time there in the other last 16 tie that's underway at the moment. We'll get to that now shortly. Here is Forrest, left-hand side of the Hibs box, gets it back, looking for a teammate, finds Maidai's a little swipe at it, and it's blocked by Bushiri, and away it goes, and a foul by Scales and Kukarevich. And Hibs have a free kick. I'm not sure if we can cross to Stephen Cragen just to get details on that. Stephen, you there?
Yes, I am indeed, Liam, and it's a relief around Fir Park. Motherwell will eventually break a deadlock. The two subs have combined. Maswanise, the new standing only today, come on, lovely little cross on the left-hand side, and Abai get in between the Kilmarnock back line, headed past Kieran O'Hara. It's Motherwell 1, Kilmarnock 0.
Well, it's been some week for Kilmarnock. Heavy home defeat to St Johnstone last week. Could be going out to the League Cup after that brilliant night for them in Norway in Conference League qualifying the other night in Tromsø, as it goes out for a Hibs throw. And Hibs up the pitch here, and it will be Boyle to leave it for Lewis Miller, who's been all over these long throws this afternoon. Main stand side, and Miller will bowl this into the penalty area. Can he find a teammate? Bit of movement there. Boyle just moving towards the penalty spot. Kukarevich is in the middle of a three. The four Celtic defenders around them, including captain McGregor, as Miller high into the 6-yard box, headed away by Carter Vickers, and then the clearance completed by Kuhn up towards halfway. Scott Allen, talk us through the Hibs change at half-time there.
Yeah, I think he's definitely made the change as Mariah Welsh was running the risk of picking up a second yellow, and it's a debut for Nicky Cadden, and it's a baptism of fire coming here to Celtic Park, but one you should be really looking forward to. It gives him a chance to make a name with these Hibs fans. I think I still think it's going to be difficult here. I think Hibs, even there from the long throw, they do look a threat when they put the balls into the box, and I'm sure David Gray would have spoken about that at half time. If you can get Martin Boyle running at the Celtic back four and maybe buying a foul, that could be the best way back into this game.
Well, Alistair Johnston's got a problem. He's down inside his own penalty area. Just after that Lewis Miller long throw, there were a few players obviously trying to get their heads on it, and here somebody's possibly got the head on Johnston as well, as he's helped back to his feet. So if you are just joining us at the start of the second half here, Celtic with a 2-1 lead. Motherwell, Ruabai have gone ahead against Kilmarnock in extra time. Killie down to 10 from just around about the 50-minute mark. Did well to get it to extra time. Perhaps finally their resistance has fallen. Motherwell have the lead for part. Dundee United going through, beating St Mirren by a 1-0. They join neighbours Dundee, Aberdeen, Falkirk, Spartans and Rangers in the draw for the quarter-finals, which will be made at the close of business here at Celtic Park. And it's a free draw, no seedings in the quarters. And Pateta picks up midway inside his own half. Long, high ball, looking for Miller in behind Taylor. He's found him as well. If Miller can get there just before it gets to the byline, hooks it into the box. It's allowed to bounce, breaks to Nicky Cadden. He's on the left foot, he shoots, and Schmeichel holds on to it. It's good build-up play by Hibs as well. Fabulous ball. It worked out from Ekpiteta, and Miller did really well to hook it back across, keeping it in play. Cadden's effort on target was comfortably held by Schmeichel. It stays Celtic 2, Hibs 1, approaching 50.
Yeah, I think it's an ideal ball, isn't it? Down the channel, you know, it gets Celtic turned, and then if you can get somebody on it, brilliant. If you don't, you can chase people down and put them under pressure and hope to get a corner. But that time, they get on the end of it, and it was a good ball in, and Cadden just on the pitch turns and has his first shot for Hibs, really, apart from the header, over 2 games on target.
Yeah, no, they didn't manage a single one last week. And Scales comes forward for Celtic. Now they're in the attacking third up the other end. To the left-hand side for Forrest. Level with the penalty spot. Right-footed low ball. Back to Captain McGregor. Square to Johnston. Out to the right-hand side for Kuhn at the right angle of the box. Taking on a Beta, driving forward up to the byline. Pulls it across. Comes off Bushiri. Loops high over the bar. And that will be a corner to Celtic over on that far side. And O'Reilly's already over it.
Yeah, what a difference in Kuhn when he takes people on, because he's got turn of pace. You know, we talked about when he came here first, that was void from his game. He did not take people on down the line, but now he's doing it, and he's a much better player because of it.
Short from O'Reilly to McGregor, back to O'Reilly. He finds Kuhn inside the box. He tried to pick his spot and he loops it high and over. Well, Taylor was involved out there as well. Eventually it was pulled back towards Kuhn. And he's well off target, actually. Seemed he plenty of time to find that top left corner that I think he was looking for. It stays Celtic 2, Hibs 1. Scott Allen.
Yeah, poor finish from Kuhn. The goal seemed to, the far corner seemed to open up for him, and you fancy him there. I think back to what Pat says about him getting at people, I think that comes with confidence, and obviously growing into the shirt. He came here in January and he did have a difficult spell, but he's had a good pre-season. He's influenced games, and that's what confidence does. It gives you extra confidence going forward and driving at people and believing that you're good enough to play here week in, week out.
Good Boyle up the other end for Hibs. It's not a bad ball either. Yeah,
what is
almost
on the
for
pitch?
Kukarevich. Something's lying inside the Celtic penalty, and I'm not sure what it is. It's like a jacket or something. Anyway, it comes back in, cleared by Scales. O'Reilly with a calm cushion header back to Carter Vickers, and then Alistair Johnston collects over on the far side. And Hibs see it out for the throw-in through Cadden. Whatever that is being picked up by Schmeichel.
It's obviously blown from the terraces. And I thought it was a body down for 1 minute. I thought it was going to be a anyway.
Stoppage in play. Yeah, it's Newell back out to Obita, rolls it back to Bushiri in his own half. Now Ekpiteta slices the ball out towards Miller, headed out for a throw-in by Taylor for Hibs.
What was the game that the ball deflected off of a beach ball into the back of the net? There was a game in, remember?
Darren Bent, Sunderland.
Was it?
Carradine to my right, remember that instantly as well. I couldn't remember, Scott did. Thankfully, as Kukarevich knocks it back down the line, looking for Miller, but it's straight to Hatate, and now Maida. Back to Taylor. It's a better game, this, than it was in the first half. Not from the Celtic supporters' point of view, of course, but from a neutral perspective, it's more of a game of football now. Celtic still with a lead at 2-1 as Johnston rolls it out to O'Reilly, out onto the touchline for Kuhn, level with the edge of the D of the Hibs box. Short ball infield to McGregor, back to Kuhn, level with the penalty spot now, back to the right angle of the area, taking it for a run towards a more central position. Rolls it back to Taylor, to McGregor, now Hatate Celtic trying to pick their way through. Johnston fires it across and then blocked and cleared by Ekpiteta inside the 6-yard area. And Hibs to be able to get it away, and Kukarevich taking it down on the far side. He's a man mountain. He has been sized down though. And now McGregor emerges with it for Celtic. Leaves it for Hatate. Looks up at the goal. Shoots. Blocked by Bushiri. Breaks to Lewis Miller. Miller is actually a decent game out with the opening maybe 20-25 minutes when everyone in Hibs colours was struggling. Miller has come into this as a force on this near side, and Hibs have a free kick at the edge of their own box.
Yeah, your point about it being a better game, that's the way it should be. You know, you'll always have a Celtic team at home having more possession and more maybe chances, but you have got to be competitive. You know, a Hibs team, you know, there was a day when you were talking about Hibs as being one of the big, probably 4 or 5 teams, and they still are from a historical point of view, but from a playing point of view, that's exactly what you want to do, and you have to come here and you've got to be competitive.
Boyle giving chase to a long ball from Ekpiteta. He's not going to get there.
That's the ball they've got to look more for. That is the ball that will cause Celtic problems. Multi-ball system there. Martin Boyle's got a long run back. No, that's the ball. Martin Boyle into the space. Sometimes over-hitting it is better than under-hitting it, and Celtic can then pick you off on the counter-attack. Yeah. But a chance, Kuhn.
They're trying to do that, and anyway here with Kuhn driving to the edge of the box, finds Hatate. Rolls it back to O'Reilly. Left foot disguised ball to the right of the box for Hatate. Throws it across and then booted away by Obita. High out to that far side. Kukarevich putting Johnson under pressure. He's done enough there to force it towards Campbell. Carter Vickers slides in to prevent it getting back to the Hibs goal scorer Kukarevich. And Scales picks up in the centre circle. Moves forward and then rolls it to Taylor. Out to the left-hand side of the Hibs box here for Forrest. Onto his right side, what he loves to do, and he fires it over the bar. And just outside the area, left of the day, and it stays Celtic 2. Hibs 1. We played 55 and still Motherwell leading Kilmarnock by 1-0 in extra time there. Killie down to 10. Dundee United, thanks to Ross Graham's first half goal, eliminating St Mirren from 2 competitions in the space of a few days.
That was an excellent run by Greg Taylor there. He's obviously playing in that inverted midfield role, but he went on the outside this time of James Forrest and just allowed James Forrest then to come on the inside and the space open up for him. I thought he should have done better because there was nobody kind of almost in his way or blocking him or coming to put him under pressure.
Oh, it's a mistake in the back by Hibs, and the goalkeeper has been beaten to it, and Celtic score through Kern. An absolute mess at the back. Hibs didn't look like they were under any kind of pressure whatsoever. And Bursic caught in all kinds of trouble. Kuhn pounces, rolls it into the empty net, and it's Celtic 3, Hibs 1, and Celtic have their 2-goal lead back.
Yes, the goalkeeper was slack, but it was a terrible back pass too. Play it to the space away from where Kuhn was. He's almost invited Kuhn to go and close the goalkeeper down, and the goalkeeper then was just slack. He's got to get their ball quicker. But between the centre half and the goalkeeper, what a goal to give up at this stage of the game. When we're talking about being competitive, it just allows Celtic to get their noses well in front again.
What on earth is Ekpiteta thinking?
Listen, I said
it last week.
I said, yeah, he done it last week, and I said it was in St Mirren as well, on opening day of the season. I said that they do not look comfortable playing out from the back. They have looked a lot better team, and guys have put contact on Celtic players when they have been more pragmatic and went long. They're playing out with players who aren't comfortable taking the ball under pressure, and that is what you get with the result of that. Shocking goal to lose.
The goal last week when he played it, and the goalkeeper had a race back to his left side, and then he kicks the ball long, the goalkeeper gives it away, and McGregor ends up scoring. That's exactly the same type of pass, except it's over it now on almost the right side of the box, and the goalkeeper's got to demand the ball into the space rather than just stand in the goal. He's got to show his body. That's where I wanted, and he didn't.
If you're playing that back to the goalkeeper, you'd play it to the side away from the Celtic attacker at the safe side, even if it's his weaker foot.
Yeah, but here comes Celtic again, looking to run amok all of a sudden. Kuhn driving down the right-hand side, onto the left. Bushiri stands his ground and does well to win it back for Hibs. And rolled out to that far side. There will be a Celtic change coming quite soon. We're going to get news of that in just a moment from Keradine. It's going to be Celtic on the ball at the edge of their own box with Kasper Schmeichel, who finds Scales. And now McGregor. And that goal's come at a good time for Celtic, because Hibs they were a threat themselves. They were looking more comfortable on the ball, but that just knocked the stuffing right out of them. Dreadful decision by Pateta. And Celtic 3, Hibs 1.
You would expect...
Sorry,
I'll come back to it.
Yeah, O'Reilly to Hatate. O'Reilly tapping it forward, straight through. Bursic leads on. Let's...
but Liam, sorry, just a point. Okay. You would expect, if you're watching the game and analysing the game from last week, and somebody picks up, and whether it's the goalkeeper coach, whether it's the centre, whoever's working with the back four, you would expect that to be drilled home to him about his positioning and his position of the pass, if he's going to play out of the back. And it didn't exactly the same again. It's so poor.
Pat, they're the basics of football, especially when you're a defender. You play at the safe side to your goalkeeper.
Let's get news of the change, Cardine.
Huge round of applause goes up around the whole stadium. Not necessarily for the departing James Forrest, it's more for the return of Adam Ida, whose goal won Celtic the Scottish Cup and therefore the double, and whose nearly £10 million move has brought him back here to this reception.
Wow, what a reception, Liam, for him, isn't it?
Well, he delivered the Scottish Cup, didn't he? His goal late on against Rangers in the final in May. He was always going to be welcomed back after doing that.
Well,
but they spent big money. We remember his brace of penalties against Hibs last season was a crucial win at the time. Miller for Hibs with a long throw into the Celtic box is cleared by Kuhn. Ida's first job is to help defensively as Hatate picks up and sweeps a long ball forward, which Maida will, of course, chase. Gets his head onto it. Miller manages to get between the man and the ball. Finds Bushiri at the edge of his box. O'Reilly picks up the scraps and moves it back to McGregor. Now Hatate to McGregor. Then to Hatate, to Scales. Back out to the left for Taylor. Taylor faced by Boyle. Rolls it out to O'Reilly, level with the 18-yard line. Now Callum McGregor. Celtic with a 2-goal cushion again, courtesy of that Kuhn goal. As bad defensively as it was for Hibs, Kuhn was lively, he was onto it. Repeats the trick again. 3 games into the season, he's scored in all of them for Celtic, including the opener at Easter Road last week when these two met in the league. As Carter Vickers picks up and rolls it out to the right-hand side for Kuhn. Now he's driving down towards the byline, and he's managed to get it across, but Bursic holds on low at his near post. We're beyond the hour mark here. Celtic 3, Hibs 1, and Motherwell, as it stands, heading through to the quarter-final draw as well. They lead Kilmarnock 1-0 in extra time at Fir Park. They played 107 minutes, I think they are. And that long ball comes all the way through towards Scales. Boyle not giving it up, and Scales eventually sees it behind for the goal kicks. 107 minutes in at Fir Park. Motherwell 1, 10-man Kilmarnock 0. Earlier, Dundee United 1, St Mirren 0. And United through to the draw for the quarters, which follows this one. Bita goes back to his keeper and Bursic clears. There's going to be a double Hibs change coming in a moment. We'll get to that a little bit closer to it happening. And it is Hibs on the ball on this near side, low up towards Martin Boyle, who controls on the halfway line and turns it infield to Newell, who slides in, wins it ahead of Ida. Now Bushiri to Ekpiteta, long ball out to the far side. Johnston's cushion header finds O'Reilly, fires it through towards Adam Ida, right hand side of the box. Ekpiteta gets a touch onto it, Ida's back onto it, finds Kuhn. Kuhn just loses sight of the ball and then breaks kindly back to Bursic, who clears first time with the left foot up towards halfway for Carter Vickers, beats Kukarevich to it. Campbell picks up the scraps in the midfield for the visitors. Out to this near side for Miller. Chops in field up against Maida. Maida back out working on the left flank now, having got his 2 goals, playing through the middle. Let's go to Keradine. Hibs changes. We'll get to Keradine for the Hibs changes in just a moment. Are you with us?
A microphone on.
There you go.
Yes. Hibs running out of time here. 62 minutes on the clock. And they've gone to the bench. Chris Cadden coming on. Kieran Bowie coming on as well, who looked dangerous last week at Easter Road. Can he find a goal to get Hibs back into this tie?
Well, they didn't manage a shot on target, Scott, last week, but Bowie went pretty close regardless with that excellent effort which clipped the top of the bar.
Yeah, he did. He had a really positive impact, considering it was his debut for the club against such a strong Celtic team. So he'll be looking to make an impact again today. I think you can see with Celtic, especially with their press, any time a Hibs full-back or midfielder either turns back or plays the ball back there after them, they know there is chances there for them to steal the ball, and it must be so hard to play against, because any time a Hibs player thinks he comes out with the pressure, he's got another Celtic player right on top of him looking to steal it off him.
Long throw coming up for Lewis Miller again on the near side. He's midway inside Celtic territory. On the Hibs right as they attack the goal to our right. We're sitting in the main stand up above the away dugout. David Gray standing at the right angle of his technical area, as Brendan Rodgers is to his left. Miller's long throw. Hibs looking to get back to within one again, and it comes towards Bowie. It's headed away by McGregor. Campbell gives chase. Rolls it back to Obita. Both Cadden brothers out there now for Hibs. Bursic plays it short. Just outside his box for O'Hara to Obita, and now Newell to that left-hand side. Hibs in possession, deep inside their own half where they're not going to hurt Celtic. It's back with the goalkeeper in his 6-yard box. He's being closed down by Idai, eventually gets rid of it. Campbell loses out to O'Reilly. Fires it forward to Kuhn, into the feet of Hatate. Back to Kuhn. Square ball there for O'Reilly. Looks up at the goalie as a go, and Bursic dives to his left to make the save. He gets it out of the danger area, and Obita's onto it, but Ida wins it back off him. Ida near the applause from the Celtic supporters for the work rate of Adam Ida there, the big man up front for Celtic.
Well, he set a standard last year when he was here, and that work rate is part of it. And that's the expectations, and there's big money on his head, remember also.
You're right, there is. Here's Kuhn into the box, rolling it back to Taylor. The reports were around about £9 million for Adam Ida. It's out to Hatate, looking for O'Reilly, keeps it in at the byline, right-hand side of the Hibs penalty area. Rolls it back to the edge of the box from McGregor. Scored that wonderful goal last week at Easter Road. Finds Taylor, and then to Carter Vickers, and out to Kuhn. First time ball to Hatate, and he looks for Nicholas Kuhn, right-hand side of the 6-yard box, but Bursic read the danger and throws himself down onto it. It is Celtic 3, Hibs 1, 65 and a half on the clock.
Yeah, almost good pass from Celtic, you've got to say, but almost trying to be too precise. I thought there was a few opportunities there for them to maybe pull the trigger. McGregor had a chance again in the same position as he was last week, but this time he opted to pass it and just keep the ball moving.
That Moses Ibayi goal still has Motherwell 1-0 up on Kilmarnock in the closing stages of that one. 7 minutes left of the extra time. 10-man Kelly running out of time to do something about it.
Yeah, obviously Kelly now has gone to their back four, and that extra player and they're going to almost a 4-4-2, haven't they? And whether they can create another chance to get back into this game or not.
Well, it was an entirely different proposition for Celtic when Hibs got back to 2-1. They looked a side with a lot more belief. But obviously, at 2 behind, Celtic have them at arm's length as they look to make their way through to the last 8. It's been a competition that's been kind to them in recent times. They've won it 21 occasions, 7 of those coming in the last decade, which is that's a third of their League Cup triumphs, all within the last 10 years. Remarkable record. Here is O'Reilly at the edge of the Hibs box, looking to push it through to Maida, cut out by Miller. Comes away with it for Hibs, dinks it back into his own box for Obita, who clears with the left foot. High ball out to the far side. Carter Vickers underneath it, heads it out towards the right flank for Celtic, for Johnston. It's a foul by he on Miller, and that's going to be a free kick to Hibs over on the far side touchline. 3-1 to Celtic, final quarter of the match. This cup tie. It's very difficult at this point, Scott, to see how Hibs can even threaten extra time.
No, I think it's going to take something special from Hibs, and you're relying on them defending well for the rest of the game, which I can't see. I think they will give chances up like they have in the last 2 weeks against Celtic, and Celtic will do what they do. They'll keep probing, moving the ball about and stretching this Hibs team. I think it'll be a matter of time probably before Celtic get a fourth. I think it's... And here we go.
Yeah, it's looking that way. Chris Cadden with a slide challenge, but Hatate rides it and drives forward and looks to play in Kuhn. It just drifts away from the German though, and it pops out to the far side. He's kept it in as well. He's just got bags of energy, Nicholas Kuhn. Now back with O'Reilly. He's having a look at the goal, decides to square ball it to the left of the D for Hatate. Now Maida, Hatate on the overlap for him in the box if he wants it. He plays it back to Taylor, and now it's Hatate. Hatate's low ball across the 6-yard area. It's cleared by Abita. Bouncing ball in the midfield. Bowie trying to get onto it. McGregor beats him to it though and finds Johnston. Central position, rolls it out to Maida on this near side, taking on Chris Cadden. Down to the byline, pulls it across, looking for Ida. It's blocked, cut out and behind. Off Ida last, says the referee. And that'll be a goal kick to Hibs, 3-1 to Celtic.
Yeah, just going back to that counter-attack, you've got to say, our build-up play, let's call it, from Celtic, but the goalkeeper was involved, and it was a beautiful pass through, that penetrating pass through midfield into Hatate. And I think that's what Schmeichel gives him a little bit better than Joe from the build-up point of view, and he's shown so far. I've only watched him twice, and since he's come up here, that he's more comfortable on the ball. But he'll have other days where he'll have to make the big saves, and that's going to be the other challenge for him.
Hibs have it on the left-hand side with Nicky Cadden. His route forwards blocked by Kuhn. Breaks to Abita, who finds Newell. Now left of the centre circle, it's with O'Hara. And takes it forwards, the former Brighton player. He's now on the halfway line with Abita. Then Newell turns away from Kuhn, rolls it back the way to O'Hara, who finds Bushiri. Low ball out to Miller on the near side, away from Maida. Looks to pass forward, cut out by Taylor. Breaks to Adam Ida on this near side. Ida on the touchline, rolls it back to Taylor. Taylor then fires it forward for O'Reilly in the central position.
What the pass again.
Rolls it through, lovely disguised ball for Maida. He's on a hat-trick, but he doesn't get side of goal. Lewis Miller does enough. And it's right through to Bursik. I think Lewis Miller's been okay today. I think he's put in a decent defensive performance for Hibs. And Maida looked like he was in for his third.
Yeah, he does, to be fair. He has his moments on the ball where he hasn't been good, but in terms of defensively, he's stuck to his task. Maeda is not an easy player to play against, as we've seen throughout the last few seasons. He causes all sorts of problems, and he does enough there, just getting his body up against him and not giving him a proper shot on target. I like Greg Taylor there. He's firing balls, laces right through the middle of the park.
Celtic's latest change, Carradine.
Not a bad day for Daisen Maeda, deputising for Kyogo. 2 goals for Celtic today, a hug from Brendan Rodgers, and Hyun-Jun Yang comes on for Celtic down the left-hand side to inject an extra bit of pace for the champions, who've still got that 2-goal lead.
He's got a good performance, I've got to say. First half he was exceptional and got his goals, and he could have had a couple more. So yeah, and they'll be happy. Brendan will be happy because we've talked about it before the game. That's the area where, if something happens, Kyogo, that they do need a little bit of reinforcement. But if they've got Maeda thinking about his game, playing with that intelligence I talked about in the first half, and he's got that pace and movement, then they might get away with it. But they might save him a few bob.
No, absolutely. I mean, you've got 3 international strikers in that position now, so it's not bad, to be fair, as Hibs pick up in the midfield with Bowie driving forward but losing out to Callum McGregor, and it's the Celtic captain who rolls it to Carter Vickers. International break coming up in a few weeks' time. Callum McGregor won't be involved in that. He'll be looking forward to some time off. Everyone in Scottish football deserves it, yeah, given the number of games he plays season upon season. And he's at that point in his career the wrong side of 30, so got to look after himself, and the national games have been sacrificed. Mouth-watering Nations League matches that they are, coming up for Scotland in the autumn. Here is Chris Cadden under pressure from Ida. Back to Bushiri, who clears up to this near side. Comes off the head of Greg Taylor. Bouncing balls awkward for Hatate. It is all over at Fir Park, and Motherwell are through to the quarter-finals of the Scottish League Cup. Just one place remaining. They have beaten 10-man Kilmarnock, who, after their heroics in Norway the other night, loads of changes by Derek McInnes today. The red cards, the killer for them, though. Stuart Findlay sent off in 50 minutes. And that Ibai goal in extra time sees Motherwell through to the last 8. Poor touch over on the left by Obita as he tried to launch an attack.
He was in a great position.
Yeah.
Oh, he's in a great position. He had Boyle and Bowie in the box, and wow, just get a good ball. He doesn't have to even run with it, just put it in there early.
It must be the most frustrating thing as a manager. That's things that you can't control. You're expecting a lot more quality.
Here comes Celtic through to Ida. The goalkeeper comes and gets to his feet and gets the ball. And Ida, just for a second, his eyes lit up with the prospect of scoring on his debut. Second time around, this time here is a full-time Celtic player. Seen some big strikers today. Paki Kukarevic, he's off, Bowie's on. Both played their part today. Ida for Celtic, traditional target men.
Yeah, well, he has the physicality, Adam Ida. He's got to just want to, get his fitness up a level, and he's got to work hard himself. He's got set a standard now, an expectation. He's got, as a young man, take that on his shoulders and go and develop himself into a top striker that would benefit Celtic, of course, but also benefit the Irish team that he's a main member of, and that's what I'm looking for anyway, over and see how he develops the next while.
Celtic have it. Hibs are going to make a change in a moment. It's Yang firing it into Johnston in a right central position, midway inside Hibs territory. Rolls it out to the right-hand side for Kuhn. Final 15 minutes just about upon us here. Celtic 3, Hibs 1. Johnston back to Kuhn. No ball into Hatate. First time back to McGregor. Square for Taylor. Looks up, chip ball into the box. Looking for O'Reilly. And he doesn't get the touch. He's back to goal as well, and Obita clears. There's Scales. Rolls it to his left for Taylor. Out to this near side for Yang. Up against Chris Cadden. Driving at the byline. Yang fires it across. Blocked by Miller. He does well, and then he dinks it into the path of Chris Cadden down the right-hand side. Cadden slips. Looking for a free kick. He's got it. I thought he slipped. I think the Celtic fans and Brendan Rodgers thought likewise. Kevin Clancy gives Hibs the free kick, though. And I think Hibs will make a change. Kerdine.
Yeah, Rudy Molotnikov is coming on for Hibs, because unless they get a couple of goals in the next 15 minutes, they are out of the League Cup. It's Martin Boyle who's coming off.
Yeah, Molotnikov has been a shining light for Hibs in the early part of this season. Looks like he could go on to have a pretty good career. Hibs won their group, but it was with 9 points, and those big victories either side of their defeat to Kelty Hearts weren't enough to see them seeded for this section of the draw, and you always run the risk, if you're not seeded coming through the group, when you come into the second round, there's always the prospect of coming here and going out at the next hurdle against the favourites for the tournament. And unless there's a spectacular turnaround, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Well, they've ruined that goal, of course, that calamitous goal that they've given away in the second half. Otherwise, they would have been still in this game, putting pressure on Celtic now going into the last 15 minutes.
Lewis Miller, though, with another one of his long throws, bowled in towards the 6-yard line, headed away by Scales. Kept alive by Nicky Cadden on that left-hand side. Down towards the corner flag. O'Reilly all over him. O'Reilly's challenge. Hibs corner. They score now. They could potentially put the pressure on and force a dramatic conclusion. They are 2 back currently at the home of Scotland's champions. That is not a position you want to be in as the clock ticks down on you. Kevin Clancy having a word with a few of the players inside the Celtic box. Nicky Cadden prepares to take the outswinging left-footed corner from the north stand side. And it comes and it's headed away by Ida. Controlled by Campbell. Hibs get it back. Out to Nicky Cadden. Support from Molotnikov. Rolls it back the way. Here's Campbell. Eyes up the Celtic box. Drifts a ball in towards Miller. Flicked away by O'Reilly. Only half away. Bowie's ball across. Headed away by the diving Scales. picked up by Joe Newell. Left-footed ball out to the right-hand touchline here for Bowie. Level with the penalty spot. Outside of the boot, flicks it forward, it breaks to Cadden. Schmeichel gathers just before Malotnikov was able to get the touch that might have taken it past the Danish keeper and brought Hibs back to within one again. It stays Celtic 3, Hibernian 1. We've played just over 78 at Celtic Park.
A bit better from Hibs there. They managed to recover the ball after the corner kick, and it allowed.
Yeah, Yang cutting Scott Allen off in his prime there as Miller puts the challenge in. Yang keeps it in play and then claims he was fouled. The referee agrees. Miller doesn't. Free kick Celtic though, down by the byline.
Yeah, it was silly there by Miller. You know, he's done his job really well. He's got goal side of Yang, held him up when it looked as if he was going to get beaten, and he's facing away from goal, Yang, but he puts his arm around him and pulls him back, and now puts the pressure on his defence.
Celtic enjoying their first home League Cup tie since September 21 when they beat Raith Rovers here. And away from home plenty since, including the first hurdle for them last season as they were beaten by Kilmarnock. Looks like they're going to be embedded in the competition this term though. And they've got a free kick down by the byline. Hatate and O'Reilly over it, left-hand side of the box. Hatate steps over it, O'Reilly clips it in, Carter Vickers gets his head onto it. They come right through to Bursic, and it will stay Celtic 3, Hibs 1.
I think the one thing from the previous Hibs set piece that we've seen from the corner was what Adam Ida brings to the team is he gives you that height when you're defending set pieces, and I think Brendan Rodgers liked that. I remember during my time there when we worked on set pieces, he always wanted somebody aggressive in that front post area, and that's where he went there, and he gets his head on the ball, so that is a plus for him in terms of when they are defending, especially in Europe.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Scott. And you know, from a goalkeeper's perspective, you know, you want somebody that's the most dangerous area for you, because you can't get beyond people, you can't get over the top of people.
Ida almost got onto it on the right-hand side of the 6-yard box, when it goes behind off him for a goal kick. So 10 minutes left. Celtic are looking to their bench. Kettering.
Yes, it's bad enough for Hibs that they trail by 2 goals with 10 minutes left, but the type of bench Celtic have available to them means that they're able to bring on at this stage Paulo Bernardo and Luis Palma as they search a goal to completely put this tie to bed.
The changes then. Hatate. The applause from the Celtic supporters, who, as I mentioned at the start of the game, have come out in huge numbers today. Hasn't been the case across many of the ties this weekend in the second round of the League Cup. Well, Celtic fans have come out and have been entertained by and large, Mackie.
That's the point. I think if you're getting entertained and you're enjoying watching your team, you'll come out to no matter what game it is, and I think that's it. And it's the start of a season, so they've shown real loyalty to the team, and the team's paying them back by winning a league, and they want to see this cup also in the trophy cabinet.
Yeah, it's tough, you know, supporters. These ties aren't on season tickets, which they used to be back in the day, a long time ago now, to be fair. But this kind of match, you're to shell out more money, and you know that you can understand why perhaps attendance is a little lower.
There's a long waiting list for Celtic season tickets. I think this is the type of game that, I know, speaking to a few people this morning, there's a lot of families coming to the game and get a chance to bring 2 or 3 of the kids because they don't have a season ticket because of the performances that Celtic have put in recent seasons. It isn't easy to get a ticket here sometimes, so they'll be delighted with how it's played out today so far.
Oh, Palma just took his eye off it as it trundled under his foot. Now for a Hibs throw-in level with the Hibs 18-yard line on the near side, 82 on the clock, and 3-1 Celtic. They are looking good to be the final team through to the quarter-finals. Could be some really good ties pulled out of the hat in less than probably talking 45 minutes time, maybe not even that. Stay with us on Sports Sound. We'll get the post-match reaction from here and from the other ties being played today. Dundee United earlier coming through a tight one against St Mirren, 1-0. Ross Graham with the goal, and then Abayi scoring the winner in extra time for Motherwell as they beat 10-man Kilmarnock, who had Stuart Findlay sent off to seal their place in the quarter-finals. Been a difficult start for injury hit Motherwell, but they're through to the last 8 of the League Cup. Celtic heading that way as O'Reilly turns it back to Schmeichel after Celtic momentarily gave it away over on the far side. They've only lost one domestic home cup tie in the last decade, Celtic. That was to Ross County in this tournament, that troubled 2021 season. And that goes all the way back to when Aberdeen beat them in the Scottish Cup 5th round in February 14. They also lost to Morton in the League Cup earlier that season. Generally, Celtic have come through cup examinations here, and we know, with the exception of that defeat to Kilmarnock last year, just how awesome Brendan Rodgers' domestic cup record is as Celtic manager.
Yeah, they're just managing the game now. They're passing it one touch, two touch passing, and just making Hibs run around a little bit. Hibs desperate to get a hold of the ball, and they can't do it.
This is Rodgers' 31st domestic cup tie. He's only lost one. Here comes Celtic driving forward. Yang from the right to the edge of the box. It's cut out. And it breaks out to that left-hand side for Hibs with Nicky Cadden, who clips it forward with the left foot, looking for Bowie. Can't get anything onto it. It breaks to Greg Taylor, and he rolls it into the centre circle for Bernardo. Short ball to Johnston and out to O'Reilly in the North Stand touchline, and down the line for Yang, level with the Hibs 18. Little ball back the way to O'Reilly. It's it back from Bernardo. Right angle of the box. Bernardo picks up a deep cross. Ida wins the header. Heads it back towards the 18-yard line, but it's picked up by Chris Cadden, forces it into the midfield for Newell. Now Chris Cadden gets it from Newell. You heard Scott Allen is pretty good at passing himself, talking about the ball in the background. There's Chris Cadden's cross into the box, and then sliced over his own bar by Carter Vickers. And Hibs have a corner with just over 5 minutes to the 90 to play. They need to score now. Celtic 3, Hibs 1.
I think Molotnikov's got to bust a gut to get in there. It's a great ball, which it's not as if it's full of pace. If he just goes and maybe even puts the defender under a bit of pressure, it can give you a bad clearance, or they end up in the Celtic goal. But he didn't really look like he wanted to get on the end of it. There's some great build-up play in the process for Hibs.
Nicky Cadden in swinging left-footed corner, and it comes. Schmeichel goes up, beats it away with both fists, breaks to the edge of the area for Campbell. His effort charged down brilliantly by Carter Vickers, and it bounces out for a throw-in over on that far side. The Hibs level with the edge of the centre circle. Celtic still leading by 3-1 here on Sportsound. Closing stages of this one, the final of the last 16 ties, on BBC Radio Scotland, on digital and online at bbc.co.uk/sportscotland. European action to come on Thursday. Victoria Pilsen against Hearts in the Europa League playoff. 6 o'clock kickoff. Big game there, and Kilmarnock are in Denmark to play Copenhagen in the Conference League playoff first leg. They're both 6 p.m. UK kickoffs. There's Bernardo picking up for Celtic in the centre circle. Back to Scales. Low ball forward to Ida. Bounces off him though, and Hibs had it back briefly to Campbell, who then fouls Adam Ida inside the Celtic half, and that will be a free kick to the home team, left of the centre circle. Yeah, Brendan Rodgers' cup record, and I mentioned this is his 31st. He's heading towards a 30th victory. In the matches, including this one, they've scored 94 goals in those almost 31 games. They've conceded just 15. It is a superb record. And just that Kilmarnock game a year ago blotting the copybook.
I bet that one really, really annoys him because of that. You can only imagine. I think there when he go a chance again.
Yeah, Bernardo forward towards Ida, and it's cut out at the edge of the box. Bernardo trying to get back onto it. He's managed to tow it to Palma, winds it up and fires it wide of the left-hand post. Loads of the goal to aim at there as well. He'll be annoyed he's not hit target. It stays Celtic 3. Hibs won the final 3 of the 90, and every time Scott Allen tries to bring us some kind of pearl of wisdom, Celtic flicker into life in the attacking third.
Well, there was an opportunity for Palma. He's got to hit the target, Scott. It's wide open. He's just tried to, I think, give the eyes to the goalkeeper, and he slewed it back past the right-hand post when he could have bent it in round the left-hand side.
Look at some of the fixtures that could be thrown up in the draw to come. There's one, of course, involving 2 Glasgow clubs, which some people will be looking out for. It could also be Aberdeen, Dundee United. That would be some tie as well, but regardless of the venue, Spartans, Falkirk, going to cause more upsets via Dundee derby. Nobody wants to be playing Dundee just now, I don't think. There's a push back by Campbell, or Newell rather, into his own box.
Hibs are playing them next week.
Yeah, resuming the Premiership next week, and it has. I mean, that difficult start to the season for Hibs could continue, couldn't it? And that is a
Dundee
hugely difficult match.
Kilmarnock away, it's not getting any easier.
They lost their first 3 league matches last season as well, amidst the pounding by Aston Villa, and Lee Johnson was no more off the back of that run. 90 seconds left of the 90 minutes. It scales back to Schmeichel. Celtic looking pretty calm. Schmeichel's had one effort to deal with really in the second half. Nicky Cadden's early second half effort, which he saved pretty comfortably. In the end, Bushiri's pass goes straight to McGregor. It's going to be a blow, as it was for the likes of Hearts and Ross County yesterday, and for St Mirren today, for Kilmarnock today. This is a realistic trophy to win.
It is.
The club's out with Celtic and Rangers, particularly if that quarter-final draw throws up Celtic Rangers.
Yeah, and it's also a money-making exercise. You know, where all teams want to stay in the competition and get a couple of rounds at least out of it if they're not going to win it, and build up the finances a little bit at the start of the season. I heard the boys talking about it today, but it gives you an opportunity, and lots of teams have won the League Cup, now it's gone for Hibs, it's gone for St Mirren, it's gone for Hearts, and another year goes by.
Free kick at the edge of the box for Hibs there. Celtic fans annoyed. Yeah, I gather Spartans made something in the region of 100,000 just by going through, beating Ross County yesterday, and I believe that's their biggest payday so far, so that just underlines how seismic that was for the end of the side yesterday. Keradine and San.
One last wee throw of the dice for Hibs as we approach the 90th minute. Luke Amos coming on.
Yeah, we're about to find out the stoppages. I think it's 4. Yeah, 4 have been added. Craig Napier with the board down below us. We're into the first of those. The 90 minutes has come and gone. Hibs League Cup hopes have come and gone, and I know I keep talking about it, Scott, but that result for Kelty Hearts has absolutely killed Hibs in this tournament.
Yeah, it has, but it was obviously that was part of that, and it was a well-earned win on the day, and one of the biggest results in Kelty's history. But realistically, Hibs should be winning the games, and I think that's the problem. They've done so well at home, and then they come away, they have a tricky tie, and we defended really well. And it's similar to what we've seen over the last couple of weeks. The cutting edge they did, they get into good areas, and the final ball let them down on that day as well. So there is a lot of work to be done. There's no question about that. I think there's obviously a new defence being put together because of all the moans and groans about the defence last season, some of the problems. But from what we've seen in this season's viewings, it's not looked any better.
But what you can't be doing is giving away early goals in games. You've got to have a structure to you. You've got to defend and get back to a point to give yourself a chance in games. You know, if you keep losing early goals, you know, that's the Achilles heel for Hibs at the moment.
Done them in against Celtic, both games in the space of 7 days.
Your whole game plan that you've set up all week is undone within 20 minutes of a game. It must be so frustrating as a manager, because you're then relying on individuals to do the jobs and the tasks that you expect and ask of them. So listen, it's not been an easy start for David Grace. Had some tough fixtures, and Dundee at home, like we said, and Kilmarnock away the following week. It isn't going to get any easier.
Well, before the international break, Celtic pick up down the right hand side with Yang twisting and turning, pulling it back to Johnston. He too tried to pull it back to the penalty spot, and it's booted away by Luke Amos, who's not long on in the closing throes of the match. 2 minutes of the stoppages that were added by Kevin Clancy left to go. Out on the right, it is Celtic with Johnston pulled back by Yang again to the penalty spot, but Campbell got there ahead of somebody in green and white, and it's Hibs who drive forward with Chris Cadden down the right, out to Molotnikov, taking on Taylor. Low ball cut out by Taylor. Schmeichel shouts and comes to claim and holds on. And quite clearly, Celtic will be the team to avoid Packie in the quarter-final draw, which is about 25-30 minutes away.
Yeah, listen, they're playing well. They're playing well at the moment, and you know, at the start of a season, you would expect them to be a little bit rusty at times, but I think they've shown today, even though they lost that goal, put them under a wee bit of pressure. I think even in this part of the game where they haven't sort of scored in the second half, apart from that, we call it a mistake, it was an easy goal, but they've managed the game well. That's what they've passed it, they've moved it, they kept control of the game, which is another critical part of a strategy.
Ida inside the box, rolls it back to O'Reilly, and out with Bernardo. Celtic finishing on the front foot, looking for a fourth here. Palma taking on Miller, left of the penalty area, level with the penalty spot. This ball across, cut out by Miller. Taylor's onto the scraps though and plays it back to Scales, who finds Carter Vickers, who'll roll it with the right out to the far side for Johnston. Johnston midway inside the Hibs half. Forward to Ida, lovely little flick for Bernardo, works it back to Ida, back to Bernardo, looking for O'Reilly, loses out to Obita. On the far side, fires it forward with the left foot. Underneath it's Carter Vickers, who finds Bernardo on the far side. Down the line for Yang. Back to Bernardo and then to Yang. I make that time up, and so does Kevin Clancy. And Celtic go through to the quarters in seamless fashion, really. A double from Maida in the first half. The first coming inside the opening 5 minutes, and you're asking for trouble if you come here and concede that early. Scored his other one inside 20. Kukarevich gave Hibs hope with a lovely header towards the end of the first half. But the cheapest of goals, sold by Ekpiteta, finished by Kuhn, ensured that Celtic go through to the quarter-finals as they try and win this tournament for a 22nd time. And they go through to join Aberdeen, Dundee, Falkirk, Spartans, Rangers, Dundee United and Motherwell in the quarter-final draw, which will be up and coming. Hibs go out of the League Cup, made to pay the highest price for that defeat to Kelty in the group stage, given the hardest fixture in Scottish football as punishment, and they just couldn't live with Celtic for vast swathes of that match. And it is the champions of this country and the favourites for this tournament who go through to the last 8, the draw for which is coming up. Finishes here at Celtic Park. Celtic 3, Hibernian 1.
The Scottish League Cup.
Live